I came here looking for a job. I think I walked here 3 times. I got interviewed and came back and asked again, director of nursing, and I said I'll work weekends, holidays, anytime you want me. I don't know if I was hired as emergency help. At that time, we did not have a union. It was an association. I can't remember the name of it. We got the union in '75. Was voted in. But I was allowed to live here because I didn't have a room or a place to stay in town. They had cottage 5 and 6, a men's dorm and a women's dorm. That's where the parking lots are in Malloy, back of the cottages. We had a matron that make sure we behaved ourselves, and we had a time. We had to be in by 10. Yeah. Lived there 2 years, $50. That's included all your meals. So I ate in the cafeteria. No, I did not. I was called to work even when I was sick. You keep that pop bottle, that 1 can down, come to work. I have. Came in, worked sick half the time. And I said, okay. At that time, management could do anything that they want with you. I started on Sheeler 3. 6 months later, so you're not working here anymore. You're going to be on 2 East. Oh. Naturally, I cried. I was emotional. Didn't tell me the reason why. I was thinking maybe I was not a permanent employee at that time. Maybe I was a temp, maybe an emergency hire. Maybe if they told me the reasoning, I think I would have adjusted better than I was. So I went to a ladies' ward, total. 2 East was a women ward only, all ladies. Going from men to women, it was a totally different atmosphere. I did not like it because I had a bad attitude. I went, you're right. I transferred to second shift, 210, 2 East. Loved it. Loved the staff, liked the people that I was with. It made a difference who you work with. I think the floor makes you or break you. And the staff that makes you or break you too. Who were my doctors when I first started here? Like Dr. Sheeler was part-time. Dr. Domingo was the head doctor here at that time. They both live on the grounds. Dr. Sheeler was probably 85, still practicing. Mr. Domingo, he was Philippines. And he always brought his little girls, 3 of them, stair steps. After his job, he played the piano with the guys in the day room where the guys ate. Were we staffed well? Sometimes. Sometimes not. Did we work harder? I think we worked harder then than I do now. We did not have chucks. We did not have attends. We had plastic draw sheets that we held up and make sure no little holes are in there, to the sunlight, and then we put them on, and then we put a draw sheet over it and pads. Then we got chucks. Well, chucks is just a protector. There's a blue comply pad that resistant to moisture. You'll hold it. And we thought that was a miracle. And because changing a bed wasn't totals like it used to be. The residents were first and second war vets at that time. We had some Spanish, we had 5 Spanish American war vets that lived here when I first started here. I think 1 woman and 4 men. Eugene Gear was on 3 East. He fought for Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Raiders. Impressive. If you take the time to listen to guys, these guys got a story. If they're willing to share, they will share with you. But you got to listen. And you give a piece of yourself as they give a piece of them. So they feel comfortable. We had 800, about 750 to 800 clients here. But then you had to understand there were 6 to a cubicle on both sides. And that's a whole ward with a curtain around it. The guys were allowed to smoke at bedside, okay? So when they get up, they get the cigarette. We didn't have individual bathrooms. We had commodes by the bedside. And your process of giving their care, you had to walk to a corridor, get water, and bring water to them. Because we didn't have no sinks or anything. And then, it was on a table, and just give cares. Your care plans were on 8x10 plastic cards. And you'd be sticking in your pocket, and that's how you read what's on the care plan, and that's how you did it. I don't know. There was no such thing as orientation. You come on unit, here's your 12 cares. They let you go. And going, first day I thought, I never worked in a big facility as the vet's home was. So you were scared and unknowing how you're going to do things. No one was really there to help you or explain things. If you did something wrong, you said, well, thank you, you just got orientated. Oh, okay. And you learn, and if you're tough enough, you come back. I asked him about Teddy Roosevelt. He said he was a mean man. He went up Sandwell Hill with him, and amazing. I'm going, and then you find out your World War I guys were prisoner in the Russian camp, death camp, in the march. And I remember in the middle of the night, he used to take these chains off of my hands, and he was a nightmare, And then you find a guy that was a prisoner of war, was denied water, didn't know. And we put a light restraint, and he went ballistic on us. He had a light, call light 24 times, wanted water. I guess he was deprived water when he was a prisoner of war. Took that off when he was fine. Things you didn't know that you should know about some of these, what they have gone through, makes you understand where they're coming from, and not, yeah. You meet guys that were shell-shocked. I didn't know what it meant or how it affect people, but this guy always quicked his hands, and he moaned the whole time. We have residents throw urinals at him because he couldn't stand him moaning. But he was shell-shocked. He was probably, I think he came in to the vet's home when he was 46. He was a young man. When I knew him, he was probably in his 70s. And so it's interesting to, have a little history of their background. Which charts did provide. Now, because of HIPAA, you don't get that much information, what they used to do and what they like, what they don't like. I think that needs to come back so you understand where these guys are coming from. He was in his own little world, and he never came out of it. Try to understand where he's coming from. He was difficult. We have a ladies' ward, which was 2Es, was nothing but women. And some were veteran wives, veterans, and some were veterans. Even now, they do separate them. They don't keep them together because they don't have the room, or they don't have a double room, or or they wait and try to find room for them, or it's a level of cares. If the guy's better than she is, they're on 2 different units, which I think is sort of kind of sad. They've been married all this time. They should be together, even at a different level of cares. Personally, because they don't want to be separate. I think the vet's home offered more things for them to do. They used to have big gardens out here. The guys did gardening and, garden boxes. We used to have woodworking here. I think it needs to come back because I think this is a guy thing. Maybe they get more interest in just arts and crafts and leather work. Maybe they could do, they used to build grandmother clocks here. Yeah. That was in Heinz Hall. We used to, rec wasn't really, they had rec, but it wasn't as many people. So staff did a lot more things as recreation did. We had watermelon feast, we did pizzas. The Copper Kettle was in the basement. Did you know that? Okay. Down in the basement was really cute. They had round tables with checker tablecloths, a counter. They made their own sandwiches, grill, homemade pies. Now listen, was the food good? Yes. The ice cream was always good here, but the canteen was better down in the basement than it was upstairs. Mr. Dack closed the one down in the basement because he said it was losing money. I couldn't see why his reasoning. So that's the reason it came up here. Copper Kettle was in the basement and then was brought up here originally. And Dee Dee lives in North Carolina. No, she lives in Virginia. Pat Yanis lives in Marshalltown, Wisconsin. My other girlfriend lives in Nome, Alaska. And they all had 20, 25, 30 years here. Yeah. But you know, time goes fast. I never was bored because every day's different. So I always come here and going, now what? You know, and which is true. You know, if that's how you survive. That's how you look at it. If you're bored, that's your problem. If you feel stagnant, that is your problem. You have to be creative to want to be here, and how you want to look at it. It's your attitude. These guys know you well enough if you come in a bad mood, or if you feel sick. What's wrong with you? That's the first thing they go, don't you feel good? Are you down? You know, even things bother you at home, they know. So I think you know, it's sometimes it's tough. You're right, I am down. Yeah, you're right, I don't feel good. You know, we used to have picnics here. 4th of July was here. We had fireworks. The whole community came in. Did you know that? Okay. At that time, we have, it was like a dinner. So they had a shelter house in front of Sheeler. And that's where they had a stakeout. All the food was donated. Stakeout for everybody. So everybody in the community, in the vet's home, all the staff, had a dinner. We had concerts here, and it was an all-day thing. Fun. Was it neat? We were allowed to come in off shifts because we know that residents couldn't get out. So we dressed them up, donated our time, got all the guys up and out for 4th of July just to enjoy. It was. You felt proud that they at least get out and feel the fresh air, and sometimes they smile, and the twinkle in their eye is just something a little different. We don't do that anymore because they put these new buildings up. It took a lot of the land away, which is unfortunate. We used to have the reenactment of the Civil War days. Guys loved it. They're dressed up and they come on the units and introduce them. They have the campfires and smoke and the food and trading posts. It just gives them something to look at to be a little different. I don't see that much fun for both sides, for staff and also. We used to in the 70s and 80s, and then it started changing. Had a Christmas party that we always ran at the Elks Club. All 3 shifts came in. It was a potluck. We got to just be together for that one night. Everybody. Was it cool? Yes. And it was a neat, special. And then in the summertime, we used to have picnics for, we rented a park, picnic for all the staff to come out. And it was summer. And the doctors, Dr. Gray, was head of um, the drinking place. He always, you went up and want something. He said, "How old are you?" And I'm going, "No." We used to on nights. I'm a thing for holidays, so for night shift, I always made Thanksgiving meals. Buy whole two turkeys and made mashed potatoes and gravy. And I said, "Come on down and ham." The whole night staff had for Thanksgiving, and we did that for Halloween. Because we got further apart, new buildings added. A lot of them said, "I can't make it," and if they did come towards later on, they just got the food and left, and that was not intent. The intent was for them to visit and enjoy each other, and that had changed a lot. I think I know half the people in the cemetery, unfortunately. Um, yeah, you lose a lot of them, and it's hard. Each one of them are different. Each one of them, you react differently to them, and some you sort of cross the line that you get to be too much a friend, and that hurts more. So you sort of kind of don't have that. You have the closest, but not uh, to feel, the loss is okay. Is something you go through and something you adjust. Um, but there's the ones that you really, really enjoy being. That's harder, I think, because they become part of your family, or part of you. I think I have to give social workers 100% gratitude because a lot of these guys come in alcoholics, drug abuse, abusive. Um, Families have been torn apart, majority of them. Um, I I know the social workers have worked really hard to make family connections to bring them to settle or peace, and I have seen that, and I think that's very good. I have to give them 100%, you know, kudos because they work hard. I had a client. Uh, he was uh, she she was 3 then went to Heinz Hall. I liked him. He loved the garden. We talked politics and gardens all the time. He was alcoholic and drug abuse, and he was not a home dad. Social worker got his family together, and I was so proud of him. He left and got his own apartment in Des Moines and be with his family. I was so impressed. And I gave him a toaster. I said, "This is your housewarming toast. Everybody needs a toaster if you don't cook. At least you have a slice of bread." Um, but yeah, you do see people change and family come together, and sometimes you still don't. I think the hardest thing I ever seen is when a young man, I guess he was probably 46, was estranged from his family. He had 2 young kids. And I guess the social worker was trying to get the family united back together because he was terminal and he loved to fish. And they did it. The kids got to know him a little bit better before he died. So I'm really grateful that, he had the time to amend his problems. But all these guys come in here for a reason. And all these guys have problems. They're just trying to figure out how to make their lives a little better. Um, yeah, I have them say, "You owe me." I said, "I don't owe you. I will serve you. I will take care of you. But I don't owe you." So it's a different approach, and most of them will get over it. But when they come in, these want, I don't think so. And I'm there to take care of them. They're different. Desert Storm are different. They have seen different things. I think my favorite is First and Second War vets. You know, they always say, "Ma'am, thank you," and "please," and I'm used to that. That's in my era too. You know, I I think this place needs to grow differently for the young ones to come in. I think we need a rec center for them to play volleyball, badminton, soccer. Uh, yeah, um, a masseuse, yoga, tai chi, for balance. Because the first thing goes balance. If you have Tai Chi, it has been proven a fact that Tai Chi will get people out of a wheelchair. You have to know where the center of balance is again. I think it needs to grow that way. Would it? I'm not sure. I'm hoping it can. I would like to see a theater for ones who never go to theater. Make a theater in here to look like it, and so they could have that atmosphere of not just a room, something they could relate to. Um, I like to see more better physical therapy. More up-to-date things, a whirlpool, maybe a swimming thing for them to exercise, get more coordination. A track, and everything indoors, and put them a special, put their exercise program on a computer and then advance them when they can advance. But then keep it as a HIPAA so it still protected their rights. There's a way to do it. It is a good place. They have good benefits. I think it's gotten tougher. People don't stick up for people. They want to turn them in more readily than what we did before, which I think is wrong because you're there for being a team, not to help them. If they make a mistake, tell them. Not going to the supervisor, tell them first. This is what you need to do. I'm not hearing that. I've been out, but I heard it's pretty bad. Are they going to last? Probably not. If you're not tough enough, you ain't going to make it. Your job titles back in the 80s were changing too, because it was like LPN 1, LPN 2, LPN 3. Then you had a nurse clinician supervisor. Nurse clinician. You have a nurse and nurse clinician supervisor, three different areas. And that was just building as this place was growing and changing. So you had different levels of management. Where I didn't have it when I first started, it was two. Now you have 4. Okay.
How did that change things for you?
I think communication's worse. I think I think staff turns in staff because they think that will give them more kudos with the supervisor. And I have heard that before, instead of, saying that you did something wrong, they just run to the supervisor, well, she didn't do this right, or she forgot this. Nitpicking, I think that has changed. I think there's too many levels of management. But you have to understand where I come from, all the changes. We did have 2 layoffs. We closed down DAC twice. And we didn't lose a lot of staff because a lot of staff, people retire or they quit. And that's how they did it on paper. Commandants, after Mr. DAC, there was 8. I was counting. We had 8 from then. I think the last, John Mathis was sort of like Mr. DAC. And I think that lady, not Wilkerson, but the other one, Jody, I liked her. She came around to visit the units. I think a person in management needs to know the clients at all the units, or at least know who they are. I come from that era. Mr. Dack knew everybody by first name, and all the residents, and I had that respect if they were out there to see who they are and understand where they're coming from. They need to know that. Um, the reason why Atha was our, he was the manager of this place, and they dedicated the Atha dining room to his name. And he was here 30 years. I don't know if you knew that or not. Mr. Dack, his building is after Mr. Dack, our commandant, which I thought was so, sort of kind of. And then we had Malloy. There was a staff person who was Malloy, his name Malloy. And Loftus was the outgoing commandant for Loftus before Mr. Dack came in. So that's how those buildings got those names. We had one bombing here in the 80s in the cottage. It was a doctor from Des Moines. At that time, we were contracting doctors to cover weekends. There were internships or whatever. And they stayed in the cottages, and cottage 8 was bombed. No one was hurt, but I can't remember who did it. That was in the 80s. 90s, well, you have to understand, in the 80s, this place was going through another transition. It was crazy because we had the infirmary, which is Loftus. No, where was it? 2 West was infirmary. And we had, heart monitors. They want to make a hospital. The vet's home's not a hospital, it's a retirement home. But the doctors wanted, at that time, wanted to make it more hospital-like. So, so all the clients on 2 West had G-tubes, 20 of them. We were not prepared to take care of that many on one floor. I know a lot of the nurses were leery and they weren't trained well enough, and it was difficult for them, and I could see why. They had trachs, they had all, 20 G-tubes. And then you have your heart monitors and your CPR code paddles and everything at that time. We didn't have those packs, we had the paddles, and the doctors come up, and I've been on a couple of those, and I'm going, oh, yeah, half the time, did they work? No, because they forgot to turn them on or didn't charge them up. Oh, it does happen, My director of nursing at that time, I don't know the whole reasoning. Mr. Dack fired her, and we as a group petitioned to get her back. And he said, if we go to court, anybody's name on the petition, you will be fired. My name was on that petition, and it was not used in court. She was able to come back. It had that change. That was another level of change. Once she came back, there was someone over her. Meredith Moss was a director of nursing, and she was underneath her. We went through 8 commandants. The first 4 were very, I don't know where they came from. Were they good for the vet's home? No, they were not. One was escorted out. And at that time, Mr. Branstad was looking at contracting, another level of change. Branstad was contracting out housekeeping and dietary. He wanted to contract nursing out, but he didn't know how to do it. So he took 2 smaller departments and contracted out. That was another major change in the 80s, 90s era of this place. It will never be the same. Mr. Dak at that time got back dietary back to state, but not housekeeping. I don't know why he never did housekeeping. But dietary is back in state. You know, a lot of these guys who have seen a lot of action won't talk. Um, the ones that didn't see that will, will tell you about what they did and how they did it. I think I hear more veterans, Vietnam, come out more than I did other World War II or World War I. That they were the snakes and the rats and the people and who they trust and they can trust, the bombing and the being, what do you call it? Well, when they got sprayed with that Agent Orange, a lot of them have side effects and are coming back to have that kind of stuff. You see it. They'll tell you they were in it. More Vietnam, and more protests. They didn't want to go. Some did. Um, one was a chemical engineer that he was telling what he was head of and what he had to do for chemicals. Amazing, and hearing these guys in camp that they had their rifles by their side because of snakes and rats and things like that. I'm going, wow. I mean, I wouldn't imagine how they would live, got through it. I don't hear that much about Desert Storm. I'm not around them enough to know. We do have more women coming in as vets. You see more of that than previously, which is good. They want to come here, and we do have marriages here. I think the residents like each other and they got married around the grounds. Yeah, I think I went to 3, and those were kind of cool. One got married on 1 East, and one got married at the chapel, White Hill Chapel. And there, yeah, you see different things, and still have a future. There's something to look forward to, and these guys need that. It's not a place to die. Well, yes and no, but it's to continue another stage of life. That's the reason I think Heinz Hall is very important. It's for residents who are mobile, independent. It's another transition from home to come to Heinz Hall, which is more like a home setting. And they could cook. They go down the kitchen, they make meals, cookies. They like to cook. I think, why not? They they had steakout. They did all downstairs. And then they make breads. I'm going, wow. We get sample it once in a while. And they save us a piece. And I'm going, and cookies, gingerbread, what else did they do? They made stew. This last night noodles and stew. And a lot of times they were learning to make diabetic things, sugar-free. So half the meals is half the cookie is sugar-free for the diabetics. And you can't tell any difference. They're both good. Maybe the texture's a little different, but not as bad as you think. But they do. I'm honored. I'm honored to meet these guys, and all the different wars or different perspective what they see. Just take the time to listen, and chat, and they're willing to share if you're willing to share, and if you're willing to listen, and that's the key. And that's the fun. I mean, it's like a new adventure. Here in nursing, they don't have time. He said, all you have time is do the care, get in bed, and get them. That's sad because you need to take the time to listen. And they're missing, you know. Did we have more staff? I think we did. Were we able to get our vacation when I first started here? Yes, we did. I hear now they're having a hard time getting vacation. I don't know if because it's too big, but we had enough staff to cover each other, and that has been cut down a couple times, and I don't think that's right. I think you need the staff to give that special care for each one of them, and also have your time off too, you know, because you need to get away. It has evolved, and this place has a lot of growing pains, good and bad. You know, the good things are we got individual rooms. That is a good thing. You know, not 6 to a room, not 4 to a room. Individual room has good points, and individual has the bad points. Bad point is if they come here lonely, they're in a room by themselves, they're still lonely. If they don't get out and socialize. Have I seen one suicide? Once here, and he was a young man. I think this place will change when this place will be changing continually or updating, you know.